Robo, good word, Hey, it's Rosa59 here. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a cell phone holder. This is a Star Wars Rebel symbol, and I'm going to show you guys how to make it. And you can download these free plans of the Star Wars Rebel symbol and the Dallas Cowboys. To make the cell phone holder, I'm just using a scrap piece of wood here that I have. I'm just using pine. I started off with a 3/4 inch of pine, and then I planed it down on my planer to 1/2 inch thickness, just because I thought 3/4 inch was a little bit too thick a material for the cell phone holder. And then I cut out my Star Wars Rebel symbol just with some scissors, and then I just traced it onto the piece of wood that I just cut a smaller piece off of on the saw. Everything by hand with 150 grit sandpaper, and then 400 grit just around the corners. And then inside the small little area was kind of hard to get. It was a little bit easier getting sandpaper in, but I found this was really helpful to make it go a little bit faster, just to get rid of the bandsaw marks with this hand file. And now that I'm done sanding everything nice and smooth, the next part is going to be the angle part, which is trying to figure out the angle of everything here. And that I have provided in the plans. So what I did was I cut out my small square just on a scrap piece of wood that I had left over. Cut that on the bandsaw, which I was left with this. Then you take your very small triangle piece and then just kind of draw it out on both sides, so both sides are drawn on. And then I just went ahead on the bandsaw and just cut off the larger area, and now that I'm left with this, and now I just need to remove the smaller areas, and then I'm just going to take 150 grit sandpaper and then just sand it on an angle. So you're going to get something looking like this, and it's going to look, it's a very small triangle, but once you have everything all glued up, it's going to go on something like that, so that it'll sit like that on an angle. Now for glue up, I'm just using some regular wood glue here. I'm just going to go ahead and put some wood glue on here. And I'm just using my finger here. You don't want too much, just a small little amount on. And don't worry if it runs over anything like that. And then just apply this on. And it's going to move a little bit, so don't worry if it moves or whatnot. Just want to make sure it lines up on the two sides. That's the most important, that it lines up. You can sand anything. And I'm just using a 23 gauge pin nailer. I found that worked the best for stapling in. If you do not have a nail gun, you can just put glue on, maybe kind of use some painter's tape or masking tape just to hold in place while it dries. That will just do just fine. I'm just using a nailer because I think that'll just give it a little bit stronger, a little stronger joint. And I'm just going to hold it in place here. And you just got to be careful because I found it is a little bit tricky. It will tend to move a bit. So if not, you can let it sit for a little bit before you go ahead and staple. Once you get one in, it's a little bit easier. There we go. I got that one nice in there, all nice and lined up. And now for this one, I'm gonna add some glue and I'm gonna let it sit for a couple of minutes. And then I'm gonna go ahead and then staple in the sides. This is what it looks like now after I pin nailed in the sides. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just fill in any areas, little gaps with some putty. And then after that, I'm just gonna go ahead and sand everything all nice and smooth. Now to add your support pins in, it's going to determine on what size of phone you have and also how high or how low you would like it to be. And I'm just using shelf pins, and they're used for your shelf, I think for glass shelves, and they've got like a rubber stopper on, so I thought this would be a good idea to use. And the width I just adjusted on depending on how wide your plug is, because different phones have different widths for your charger. So that really depends on how wide you want it to be. I just based this off of my phone, and I drilled a 3/16 drill bit I used and drilled the hole for that. And then it just fits nicely in place. I went ahead already and painted 2 coats. I just used Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch gloss in a red. I did 2 coats of that first, and then I let it dry. And now what I did is I mixed a little bit of black in the red, and I used a sea sponge. And then all I did was just went around and made it this dark and light, and went around all the edges and everything, and in the corners here, made it just a little bit darker. And it kind of gives it this rustic look that it's been a long period of time of the Star Wars Rebel symbol. And it just makes it look antique looking. And here's the final look of the Star Wars Rebel symbol and the Dallas Cowboy holder. And it sits perfectly and everything like that. Just a key pointer for the Dallas Cowboy, because it is smaller, it doesn't have a round shape to hold the back. What I ended up doing was going to Walmart, and in their fishing section they've got some mini weights, so I just drilled some holes and put the weights on that you would put on for your fishing line when you're going fishing. But other than that, I think they turned out really cool and awesome, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for stopping by my channel, and go to the video description link below for free plans. Don't forget to comment on this video. If you would like to see more of these videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.